She whispered the words that would haunt him forever. Please just go. Pretend you didn't see me. But how could he? The woman standing in front of him, trembling, pregnant, wearing a cheap waitress uniform, was his wife. His ex-wife. The one he'd been tearing Seoul apart to find for 7 months. And now she was here, carrying his child, begging him to walk away. What Kang Min-ho didn't know that night would destroy everything he thought he understood about love, loyalty, and family. Because someone had forced her to leave him. Someone had lied to both of them. And when he finds out who, even blood won't protect them. Welcome back to Seoul Shadows TV. Thank you for watching this story. Now listen. This story is long. It's emotional. And if you make it to the end, I promise you your heart will never be the same. So settle in. Turn off distractions. Because Nia and Min-ho's story doesn't let go. The restaurant's chandelier scattered light like diamonds across marble floors. Expensive. Exclusive. The kind of place where Seoul's elite came to be seen. Kang Min-ho walked in with a woman on his arm. Designer perfume. Practiced smile. Everything his mother approved of. He wasn't listening to a word she said. His mind was miles away, thinking about the wife who'd vanished like smoke 7 months ago. The woman he'd searched every corner of Seoul trying to find. Then he saw her. Nia. His Nia. Heavily pregnant. Carrying plates with trembling hands. Her beautiful face hollowed by exhaustion. Dark circles shadowing eyes he used to kiss awake every morning. The uniform was too tight across her swollen belly. She moved carefully, painfully, like every step cost her something. Their eyes met across the crowded room, and something inside Min-ho shattered. The woman beside him. Yuna, someone suitable, someone Korean, someone his mother had chosen. Faded to nothing. Because the only woman he'd ever loved was serving his table. And everything he thought he'd buried came roaring back to life. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't where their story began. This is where it almost ended. 6 months earlier, Nia Thompson had signed divorce papers with shaking hands. She believed the lies. All of them. Min-ho's mother, cold, calculating, proper Mrs. Kang, had told her everything she needed to hear to destroy her. My son wants someone more suitable. You're an embarrassment to his empire. He never loved you. Not really. He's already moved on with someone from a proper Korean family. And Nia, pregnant, terrified, desperate to do the right thing, believed her. She left without telling him about the baby. Too broken to fight. Too proud to beg. Now she worked 16-hour shifts at Seoul's most exclusive restaurant. The tips barely covered rent in a studio apartment in one of the city's poorest neighborhoods. She'd sold everything. The jewelry Min-ho gave her. Designer clothes. Even her phone. She used a cheap burner now. No contacts. No connection to her old life. Every morning she woke with her back aching. Feet swollen. Heart still broken. Every night she cried herself to sleep with one hand on her growing belly. Whispering apologies to the baby who deserved so much better. Min-ho had searched for her. For months he'd torn Seoul apart. His mother claimed ignorance. Perfect mask of concern on her face. His men found nothing. Nia had been too careful, too desperate to disappear. He drowned himself in work, in women who meant nothing, trying to forget eyes like midnight and a laugh that had once been his entire world. But forgetting was impossible. Every woman he looked at wasn't her. Every touch felt wrong. Every kiss tasted like betrayal. Not to them, but to the memory of the one person who'd ever made him feel human. Tonight was supposed to be easy. Dinner with Yuna. A woman his mother approved of. Someone from the right family with the right connections. Yuna was beautiful in a cold, calculated way. Tall. Thin. Perfectly styled. She talked about charity galas and designer brands and society gossip. Min-ho barely heard her. His mind was miles away, thinking about the wife who'd left him without explanation. Then the world stopped. Nia emerged from the kitchen carrying a tray loaded with dishes, moving carefully to accommodate her pregnant belly. She wore the black and white uniform of the restaurant staff, her natural curls pulled back into a tight bun, her face thinner than he remembered. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. Her movements were slow, pained, but she was still the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Their eyes locked across the room. Hers widened with panic and something else. Shame. Fear. longing, all mixed. His narrowed with shock that quickly morphed into fury and something deeper. Possessiveness, longing, rage that she'd been here suffering while he'd been searching everywhere else. She looked away first, turning toward a different section with obvious desperation. But he was already standing, his body moving before his mind fully processed what he was seeing. Min-ho, where are you going? Yuna's voice faded behind him. He didn't answer. He crossed the restaurant in long strides, his presence parting the crowd instinctively. People recognized him, Seoul's underworld king, and gave him space. Whispers followed him. Staff members froze. But his eyes never left Nia. She felt him before she saw him. That familiar electricity that had always existed between them. That magnetic pull she'd never been able to resist. She turned and he was there. Close enough that she could smell his cologne. That expensive scent that used to cling to her skin. Close enough to see the fury and confusion warring in his dark eyes. Nia. His voice was rough, barely controlled, vibrating with emotion. What the hell are you doing here? She lifted her chin, summoning dignity she didn't feel. Her hands tightened on the tray. Working. Excuse me, I have tables. His hand shot out, gripping her wrist gently but firmly. The touch sent electricity through both of them. You're pregnant. Congratulations on your observational skills. The sarcasm was her only defense against the emotions threatening to overwhelm her. How far along? His eyes dropped to her belly, then back to her face. She saw him calculating. Saw the moment realization hit. Nia, how far along? 7 months. Now let me go before I lose this job too. Her voice cracked on the last word. 7 months. The math was instantaneous. She'd been pregnant when she left. His child. She was carrying his child and working herself to exhaustion in a restaurant while he'd been. Fury like he'd never known flooded through him. You're coming with me. He started to pull her toward the exit. No. She yanked her arm free, adrenaline overriding fear. The tray wobbled dangerously. I'm not going anywhere with you. You have a date waiting. Go back to her. I don't give a damn about her. His voice rose enough that nearby diners turned to stare. You're my wife. Ex-wife. We're divorced. Remember? Your mother made that very clear. Tears threatened, but she blinked them back furiously. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. My mother. What did she do? It doesn't matter anymore. Nia's voice cracked despite her best efforts. Please just go. Pretend you didn't see me. It's what you wanted anyway. Pretend. He laughed, the sound harsh and broken. You're carrying my child and you want me to pretend? Where have you been? Do you have any idea what I... Excuse me. The restaurant manager appeared, his expression stern but nervous. He recognized Min-ho. Knew his reputation. You're disturbing the other guests. Miss Thompson, get back to work. Sir, please return to your table. Min-ho turned to the manager with a look that made the man step back instinctively. She's done working here. Effective immediately. You can't. Nia started, panic rising. She needed this job. Needed the money. Watch me. He pulled out his phone, made one call. His voice was cold, commanding. By this restaurant. Now. I want ownership transferred within the hour. I don't care what it costs. He hung up, then addressed the manager again. You're fired. For making a pregnant woman work on her feet for 16 hours. For paying her slave wages. For not ensuring she had proper breaks or meals. The manager paled. You can't just. I own half of Seoul. I can do whatever I want. Min-ho's attention returned to Nia. His hand found her lower back, proprietary and protective. We're leaving. Now. I need this job. I need the money for the baby. You don't need anything. I'll provide everything. His voice softened slightly. Don't fight me on this, Nia. You won't win. And you shouldn't have to fight anymore. She wanted to argue. To maintain her independence. To prove she didn't need him. But exhaustion and pregnancy hormones and the overwhelming presence of the man she'd never stopped loving made her defenses crumble. Her feet hurt. Her back ached. She was so tired of struggling alone. She let him guide her out. Past the staring diners. Past Yuna's shocked and furious expression. into the cold Seoul night. His hand never left her back, supporting her, claiming her. His car appeared within seconds, a black Mercedes with tinted windows. He helped her inside with unexpected gentleness, his hands careful on her arms, then climbed in beside her. The interior smelled like leather and him. Memories flooded back. Of other car rides. Of his hand on her thigh. Of stolen kisses at red lights. "Where are we going?" she asked, her voice small. "Home." He studied her face like he was memorizing it all over again. "To our home." "We don't have a home. Not anymore. We never stopped having a home. You left." "I didn't." His jaw clenched. "Why, Nia? Why did you leave without telling me you were pregnant? Why did you disappear like I meant nothing?" She stared at her hands, at where the wedding ring used to be, the ring she'd sold months ago to pay rent. "Because your mother told me you wanted me gone, that I was an embarrassment, that you'd moved on. And you believed her? After everything we were to each other. She had divorce papers. With your signature." Nia's voice broke. "She said you were too kind to tell me yourself, but that you wanted someone suitable. Someone Korean. Someone who fit your world. And I looked at our life and realized she was right. I never fit. I was just fooling myself." Min-ho was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice shook with controlled rage. "I never signed divorce papers. I refused. My mother forged my signature." Nia's head snapped up. "What?" "I refused to divorce you. I told her I'd never let you go. That she could threaten me all she wanted. But you were my wife and that was forever." His hands clenched into fists. "She forged my signature. Filed the papers without my knowledge. When I found out it was too late. You were already gone." The implications crashed over Nia like waves. "She lied to both of us. She lied to both of us," he confirmed, fury simmering beneath his controlled exterior. "And she will pay for it. But first." His eyes dropped to her belly again and his expression softened impossibly. "First we deal with this. With us. With our baby." The drive to his penthouse was tense and silent. Nia stared out the window trying to process everything. 7 months of suffering. Of believing she was unwanted. Of struggling alone. All based on lies. Min-ho kept stealing glances at her belly. His hands clenched on his thighs like he was physically restraining himself from reaching out. When they arrived, the building's doorman looked shocked to see her. "Mrs. Kang. Welcome back. We've missed you." So he'd never told anyone about the divorce. Interesting. Or maybe the divorce had never been real at all. The penthouse was exactly as she remembered. Cold. Modern. Expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline. Marble floors. Designer furniture. Art that cost more than most people earned in a year. But something was different. Her things were still there. Photos of them together still lined the shelves. Their wedding day. Vacations they'd taken. Candid moments of happiness. Her favorite books sat on the coffee table exactly where she'd left them. Her art supplies were organized neatly in the corner. It was like he'd frozen the apartment in time, preserving their marriage like a museum exhibit. "You kept everything," she said quietly, emotion tightening her throat. "Of course I kept everything. You're my wife." He shrugged off his jacket, loosened his tie with sharp, angry movements. "Sit down. You look exhausted." "I'm fine." "Sit down." Command threaded through the words. The voice he used to run an empire. She sat, hating how her body obeyed him automatically. How her aching feet thanked her for the relief. Pregnancy had sapped her usual fire. Left her vulnerable in ways she resented. Min-ho disappeared into the kitchen, returning with water, fruit, crackers, cheese. He set them on the table in front of her. "Eat. When was the last time you had a proper meal?" "This morning." "Don't lie to me." His eyes pinned her. "I know you, Nia. I know when you're lying. When was the last time you actually ate enough?" She took the water, sipping it slowly. Her stomach cramped with hunger she'd been ignoring. 2 days ago. Maybe 3. His expression darkened dangerously. "You've been starving yourself?" "Starving my child." "I haven't been starving anyone. I can barely afford food and rent." The tips at the restaurant weren't enough and the pay was garbage. I was doing the best I could. She stopped, not wanting to reveal how desperate things had gotten. The night she'd gone to bed hungry so the baby would be okay. The time she'd contemplated calling him but pride had stopped her. And you didn't call me. Didn't tell me you were struggling. He crouched in front of her, his eyes level with hers. Why? After everything we were to each other, why would you suffer alone rather than reach out? Because your mother told me you wanted the divorce. The words burst out of her. 7 months of pain and anger behind them. She said you were embarrassed by me. That I wasn't suitable for your world. That you'd already moved on with someone from a proper Korean family. She had papers, Min-ho. Legal documents with your signature. She paid me money to leave quietly. She told me if I really loved you, I'd let you go so you could have the life you deserved. Her voice cracked. And I believed her because deep down I always knew I didn't belong in your world. I was just a girl from nowhere who got lucky enough to catch your attention for a while. Min-ho went very still. His eyes darkening with a rage she'd rarely seen. My mother told you that. Yes. She said you were too polite to say it yourself, so she was doing it for you. She showed me photos of you with other women. Society women. Suitable women. She said you'd been seeing them. Planning your future with them. Fresh tears spilled down Nia's cheeks. And I believed her because I'd always felt like an imposter in your life. Like eventually you'd wake up and realize you'd made a mistake with me. No. His hands framed her face, forcing her to look at him. No. You were never a mistake. You were never just anything. You were everything. You are everything. His voice broke. I never wanted a divorce. I came home one day and you were gone. No note. No explanation. Nothing. Just gone. Your clothes, your art supplies, your books, everything. Like you'd never existed. And my mother claimed she had no idea where you went. She cried. Said she tried to stop you but you'd insisted on leaving. She lied to both of us. The realization settled over Nia like ice water, making everything clear and terrible. She lied to both of us, he confirmed, rage simmering beneath his controlled exterior. She manipulated us both. Destroyed our marriage because she didn't think you were suitable. Because she's a classist, prejudiced woman who cares more about appearances than her son's happiness. His thumbs brushed away her tears. And she will pay for it. But first. He moved his hands to her belly, touching the swell of their child with reverent wonder. First we deal with this. With us. With our baby who's been growing while we've been apart. The baby kicked at his touch and his eyes widened with shock and wonder. Was that the baby? They kick a lot. Despite everything, Nia smiled at his expression. Especially at night when I'm trying to sleep. They. He looked up at her, his eyes shining. Do you know what we're having? I didn't want to find out alone. The admission cost her. Revealing how much she'd wanted to share this with him. How many ultrasounds had she attended by herself, crying in parking lots afterwards because she was so alone. His expression cracked completely. Emotion flooding through. I missed 7 months. 7 months of your pregnancy. Of our child growing. Of you needing me and me not being there. His forehead dropped to her belly and she felt him trembling. I'm sorry. God, Nia, I'm so sorry. I should have found you sooner. Should have searched harder. Should have known my mother was lying. She wanted to stay angry. Wanted to protect herself from the inevitable pain of loving him and losing him again. But seeing him broken like this. Feeling his hands gently on her stomach. Hearing the raw emotion in his voice. She felt her walls crumbling brick by brick. It's not your fault, she whispered, her fingers finding his hair. We were both manipulated. Both lied to. It is my fault. I should have questioned everything. Should have torn Seoul apart until I found you. Should have known you'd never leave me without a damn good reason. He looked up, his eyes fierce and wet. But you're here now. You're home. And I'm never letting you go again. Do you understand? Never. I don't care what I have to do, who I have to fight, what I have to destroy. You're mine and you're staying mine. The possessiveness should have frightened her. Instead it made her feel cherished. Wanted. Protected. That's very presumptuous. It's a promise. He stood, pulling her up with him, his hands careful on her arms. You're exhausted. You need to rest. Eat properly. Take care of yourself and our baby. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to shower, put on comfortable clothes and sleep in our bed. I'm going to order food. Real food. Nutritious food. And tomorrow we're seeing the best OB in Seoul to make sure you and the baby are healthy. Min-ho. This isn't negotiable, Nia. You've been suffering for 7 months. That ends now. His voice softened. Please. Let me take care of you. Let me be what I should have been all along. She was too tired to argue. Too emotionally overwhelmed. Too desperate for the comfort and safety he was offering. She nodded and relief flooded his features. Don't subscribe if you're not ready for a story that'll wreck you emotionally. But if you're still here, maybe you are. Hit that button. Let's keep building this together. The next morning, Nia woke in a bed that smelled like Min-ho, sandalwood and something uniquely his. She was alone, wearing one of his soft t-shirts that stretched across her pregnant belly. Her filthy uniform gone. Memories of the night before flooded back. How he'd insisted she shower. Had stood outside the bathroom like he was afraid she'd disappear. How he'd brought her food and watched her eat every bite, his eyes never leaving her face. How he'd lain beside her in bed, his hand on her belly, talking softly to their child about how sorry he was for missing so much time. How he'd held her when she cried. When 7 months of pain and loneliness came pouring out, she found him in his office. On the phone. His voice cold and lethal. I don't care what excuse you have, mother. You lied to me. You sent my wife away pregnant and let me believe she'd abandoned me. You made her suffer. You made her work herself to exhaustion while carrying my child. You manipulated both of us because of your prejudice. A pause. His mother's voice came through the speaker, shrill and defensive, making excuses in Korean. No. You don't get to explain. You don't get to justify. You're cut off. All access to my accounts. All positions in my companies. All influence in my life. Gone. Effective immediately. His voice was ice. You wanted me to marry someone suitable? Congratulations. I'm already married to the only woman I've ever loved. The only woman I will ever love. And you will never see your grandchild. You will never know them. Never hold them. Never be part of their life. You made that choice when you destroyed my marriage. His mother's voice rose, pleading now. If you ever contact Nia again, if you ever come near my family, I will forget you're my mother. I will treat you like any other enemy. And you know what I do to my enemies. He hung up. Then noticed Nia in the doorway. You didn't have to do that, she said softly, though part of her was fiercely glad he had. Yes, I did. She nearly destroyed us. She made you suffer for 7 months. She made me search desperately for my wife while lying to my face about knowing nothing. He stood, crossing to her. She chose appearances over our happiness. Now she lives with the consequences. She's still your mother. And you're still my wife. My priority. Always. His hands found her waist. How do you feel? Better than I have in months. She touched her belly self-consciously. The baby's been quiet this morning. Usually they're kicking by now. Concern flashed across his face. Is that normal? Should we call the doctor? I think they're just comfortable. Good bed. Less stress. She smiled at his worry. But we should probably see a doctor soon anyway. Make sure everything's okay. We're going today. I already made an appointment. At her surprised look, he shrugged. I called the best OB in Seoul at 6 this morning. We have an appointment at 10. It's not even 8 yet. I wanted to be sure we got in. He pulled her closer, careful of her belly. Nia, we need to talk. About us. About what happens now. What's there to talk about? You said the divorce was never real. It wasn't. I refused to sign. Which means legally you're still my wife. His smile was predatory. Possessive. You're still mine, Nia. You never stopped being mine. The possessiveness should have annoyed her. Instead, it sent heat through her body, reminding her of all the reasons she'd fallen for him in the first place. That's very presumptuous. It's the truth. And here's another truth. I love you. I never stopped loving you. And I'm going to spend every day proving it to you until you believe me again. I never stopped loving you either, she admitted. the words spilling out before she could stop them. Even when I thought you'd rejected me. Even when I was angry and hurt and alone. I couldn't stop. I tried but I couldn't. His kiss was gentle despite the intensity in his eyes. Mindful of her pregnant belly between them. Then stay. Let me take care of you. Let me be the husband and father I should have been all along. Before she could answer, his phone rang. He answered with visible irritation. What? His expression changed, darkening dangerously. When? Where is she now? A pause. Keep her there. I'm coming. He hung up, already reaching for his jacket. What's wrong? Nia asked, fear spiking. Yuna, the woman from last night. She's been talking to reporters, spreading lies about you, about us, trying to damage my reputation and yours. His jaw clenched. Claiming you're some con artist who trapped me with a fake pregnancy, that you're trying to extort money from me. What? But, I know it's all lies, but rumors spread fast in this city. I need to handle this before it gets worse. He cupped her face. Stay here. Rest. Eat. I'll be back soon and then we'll go to your doctor's appointment together. Min-ho, be careful. Always. He kissed her forehead. And Nia? Start thinking about names. We have a baby to plan for. Later that afternoon, Nia explored the penthouse properly, trying to process her new reality. Evidence of Min-ho's desperate search for her was everywhere. In his office, she found maps of Seoul marked with locations he'd searched. Phone records showing hundreds of calls to anyone who might have seen her. Private investigator reports. Even CCTV footage from areas she'd been known to frequent. He dedicated an entire wall to finding her. Photos of her. Timelines. Notes in his handwriting tracking every lead. He hadn't lied. He'd looked for her. Desperately. Obsessively. She found her old sketchbooks in a drawer. Art supplies he must have kept. Before their marriage fell apart, she'd been studying design at university, dreaming of having her own boutique someday. She'd given up those dreams when his mother had convinced her she wasn't good enough, that she should focus on being a suitable wife instead. You kept these too, she murmured, flipping through drawings of dresses and patterns, designs she'd abandoned. I kept everything. Min-ho's voice came from the doorway, making her jump. I told you. I never gave up on us. She turned. He looked tired but satisfied. Tension in his shoulders easing slightly. How did it go with Yuna? She's been handled. The stories won't run. She signed an NDA and accepted a settlement to keep quiet about everything, including what she saw last night. His expression darkened. She also won't be working in Seoul anymore. I made some calls. You ruined her career. She tried to hurt you, to spread lies about you and our child. There are consequences for that. He crossed to her, his hands finding her waist possessively. I know I can be controlling. I know my world is dangerous and complicated, but I will always protect you, even from gossip and lies. I know. She touched his face, feeling the tension there. You look exhausted. I haven't slept properly in 7 months. Not since you left. His eyes searched hers. I kept thinking you'd come back, that you'd realize whatever was wrong we could fix it together. But you never came back. And every day that passed, I died a little more inside. I thought you didn't want me anymore. That I was an embarrassment. Impossible. You could never embarrass me. You made me better. Made me want to be better. He pulled her closer, mindful of her belly between them. I'll want you until I take my last breath. Probably even after that. The kiss started soft but quickly deepened. 7 months of longing and separation fueling the heat between them. His hands tangled in her hair. She gripped his shoulders, remembering every reason she'd fallen for him. How safe he made her feel. How cherished. How desperately loved. We should stop, she gasped when they broke apart, breathless. The baby. The baby is perfectly safe. His lips found her neck. That spot that always made her melt. I researched extensively. As long as you're comfortable, it's fine. Of course you researched. She laughed, then gasped as his mouth found a sensitive spot. Min-ho. I've missed you. His voice was rough against her skin, vibrating with need. God, Nia, I've missed you so much. Every night alone was torture. Every woman who wasn't you felt wrong. I couldn't. His voice broke. I couldn't stop loving you. She pulled him toward the bedroom. 7 months of loneliness and fear dissolving under his touch. They moved together with familiar passion. His hands reverent on her changed body. His eyes full of wonder and love as he traced the curves of her pregnant belly. He was gentle, careful, constantly checking that she was comfortable, that nothing hurt. You're beautiful, he whispered, his hand spanning her belly. More beautiful than ever. Carrying our child. God, Nia, you're perfect. Afterwards, she lay in his arms, feeling safer than she had in 7 months. His hand rested on her belly, feeling their baby kick. She covered it with hers. I was so scared, she admitted quietly. When I found out I was pregnant, I didn't know how I'd manage alone. Didn't know if I could give the baby everything they deserved. You'll never be alone again. He kissed her temple, the promise fierce. I swear to you, whatever happens, whatever comes, we face it together. You, me, and our baby. Family. Family, she repeated, the word tasting like hope. A few days later, Nia woke to an empty bed in immediate panic. Morning sickness hit hard and she barely made it to the bathroom. When she emerged, pale and shaking, Min-ho was there with water, crackers, and ginger tea. I heard you, he said simply, his hands supporting her back. This happens every morning? Most mornings. It's been better lately, but stress probably triggered it. She accepted the crackers gratefully, nibbling carefully. We're seeing the doctor today. The best OB in Seoul. I want to make sure you and the baby are completely healthy. I can't afford. You're on my insurance. You have been this whole time. I never took you off. His tone left no room for argument. And even if you weren't, I'd pay for everything. You're my wife, Nia. My responsibility. My everything. Stop trying to handle things alone. The doctor's appointment was overwhelming in the best way. The clinic was luxurious, private, with staff who treated her like royalty instead of the charity case she'd become. Min-ho held her hand through the examination. His eyes glued to the ultrasound screen when their baby appeared. Everything looks very good, the doctor said in English for Nia's benefit. Baby is healthy, right size for gestational age, strong heartbeat. Mother needs better nutrition and rest, but overall everything's progressing well. You're lucky. 7 months of inadequate care could have caused serious problems. Nia felt guilt crash over her. But Min-ho squeezed her hand. She did the best she could with what she had. Now she has everything she needs. The doctor smiled. Would you like to know the gender? Nia looked at Min-ho. He looked at her, his eyes soft. Together? He asked quietly. Together, she confirmed, her heart racing. It's a girl, the doctor announced with a warm smile. A healthy baby girl. Min-ho's expression transformed. Wonder, joy, fierce protectiveness all crossing his features at once. A daughter. His voice was thick with emotion, barely controlled. Nia found herself crying, overwhelmed by seeing him like this, by the reality of their daughter becoming real. He pulled her close, pressing kisses to her face, her hair, her lips, his own tears mixing with hers. A daughter, he repeated, his voice breaking. Our daughter, our little girl. I'm going to spoil her terribly. Not too much, Nia protested through tears and laughter. Way too much. She'll be a princess. My little princess. She'll have everything. The best schools. The best clothes. Anything her heart desires. He looked at the ultrasound image the doctor handed them, his expression one of complete awe. She's perfect. Just like her mother. In the car afterwards, he couldn't stop looking at the ultrasound photos. We need to start preparing. Nursery. Clothes. Supplies. I want everything ready before she arrives. We have 2 months, Nia said, amused by his intensity. Not enough time. We need to plan. He was already making lists on his phone. Crib. Changing table. Clothes. Diapers. Monitors. What colors do you want for the nursery? I don't know. Maybe something neutral. Not too pink and princessy. Whatever you want. though I reserve the right to buy her princess dresses. He glanced at her, his expression softening. Thank you. For what? For carrying our daughter. For surviving 7 months alone. For being strong enough to keep going even when you thought I didn't want you. His hand found hers. For still loving me despite everything. Always, she whispered. I couldn't stop if I tried. That evening, Min-ho threw himself into preparation mode with the intensity he brought to everything. He researched cribs, car seats, baby monitors, reading reviews and comparing products like he was negotiating a business deal. Nia watched him with amusement and affection, seeing the man behind the mafia boss facade. You're being obsessive, she said as he showed her paint swatches for the nursery. Dozens of them. I'm being thorough. I've missed 7 months. I have catching up to do. He pulled her onto his lap carefully, mindful of her belly. Indulge me. Let me do this. Let me be the father I should have been from the beginning. Fine. But nothing too pink and princessy. I want her to be strong. Not spoiled. She can be both. He kissed her neck, his hand spanning her belly. Like her mother. Beautiful and strong and absolutely impossible to forget. The tenderness in his voice made her heart ache. She turned in his arms, facing him. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the pregnancy. I should have fought harder. Questioned your mother more. Demanded to talk to you directly. I was just so hurt and scared. Stop. He stopped her words with a finger to her lips. Stop apologizing for what she did to us. You did what you thought was right. What you thought I wanted. She manipulated you. Manipulated both of us. That's on her, not you. But you missed. I know what I missed. And I'm angry about it. Furious. But not at you. Never at you. He kissed her softly. We focus forward now. On our family. On our future. On giving our daughter everything she deserves. Including a father who's there. Especially that. His eyes held hers. I'm transitioning out of the darker side of my business. Moving everything legitimate. It'll take time, but I'm doing it. For you. For her. For us. I want to be a father she can be proud of. A week later, Nia was settling into her new old life with surprising ease. Min-ho worked from home most days, unwilling to leave her alone for long. He'd hired a nutritionist who created meal plans specifically for her pregnancy needs. A personal trainer who specialized in pregnancy-safe exercises. He'd started converting a spare room into a nursery, involving her in every decision even as he obsessively researched every product. But his world wasn't without its dangers. She was reminded of that when he came home one night with blood on his shirt and a cut above his eye. His knuckles split and swollen. What happened? She rushed to him, fear spiking through her chest. Her hand instinctively going to her belly. Rival gang. They made a move on one of my territories. Tried to take advantage while they thought I was distracted. He tried to move past her but she blocked his path. Her pregnant belly making her stance both fierce and vulnerable. You're hurt. It's nothing. It's not nothing. Sit down. She pushed him toward the couch with surprising strength, then got the first aid kit. Her hand shook as she cleaned the cut above his eye. Each drop of blood a reminder of the dangerous world he lived in. This is the life you lead. Violence and danger. Yes. He caught her hand, stilling their trembling. And I understand if that scares you. But I'm transitioning out. Moving toward legitimate business. It will take time. Maybe a year. Maybe 2. But I'm doing it. For you. For our daughter. I don't want you to change who you are for me. I'm not changing who I am. I'm becoming who I want to be. His eyes held hers. A man my daughter can be proud of. A husband who comes home safely every night. A father who's there for every moment. Not missing anything because I'm dead or in prison. She kissed him, tasting blood and promise and fear. Just don't get killed before our daughter is born. She needs her father. I need her too. His hand found her belly, feeling their daughter kick as if responding to his voice. And I need you. You're my world now. Both of you. Everything else is just noise. I'll be careful. I promise. The following week, Min-ho surprised her with a trip to an empty commercial space in one of Seoul's trendiest districts. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Exposed brick. Perfect lighting. Nia stared in confusion. What is this place? Your design studio. Your boutique. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, his hands resting on her belly. I want you to restart your business. Your dream. Whatever you need. Space. Supplies. Funding. Staff. It's yours. Nia felt tears prick her eyes. This is too much. It's not enough. You gave up your dreams because of my mother's poison, because she convinced you that you weren't good enough, that your only value was as my wife. His voice hardened with anger at his mother. Now you get them back. Our daughter should know her mother is talented and successful, not just someone who lives in my shadow. I don't live in your shadow. I know, but I want the world to know it too. I want her to grow up seeing you build something amazing, to know that women, especially women who look like you, can create empires. He kissed her temple. Say yes. Let me give you this. How could she say no when he looked at her like she was everything? Yes. Thank you. But I'm doing this my way. With my vision. Not because I'm your wife, but because I'm talented. His smile was proud. Fierce. I wouldn't have it any other way. He hired a team to help her. Experienced designers. Skilled seamstresses. Business managers who understood the fashion industry. Within 2 weeks her vision was taking shape. She designed maternity wear that was actually stylish. Plus-size fashion for women who'd been ignored by the industry. Clothes that celebrated curves and diversity, rather than hiding them. The work exhausted her, but it also fulfilled her in ways she'd forgotten were possible. Min-ho watched her bloom with quiet satisfaction, supporting her dreams while protecting her fiercely. He'd arrive at the studio with lunch, insisting she eat. He'd rub her swollen feet while she sketched. He'd listen to her ideas and offer surprisingly good business advice. You're good at this, she said one evening as they reviewed her business plan. I've built an empire. The principles are the same, just with less violence and more fabric. His smile was teasing, though the fashion industry might be more cutthroat than organized crime. She laughed, the sound filling their home with warmth. Life was settling into something beautiful. But in his world, peace never lasted long. 2 months before her due date, everything fell apart. Nia was at her boutique reviewing fabric samples with her team when 3 men entered. She recognized the danger immediately. The cold eyes, the concealed weapons, the predatory way they moved. Her assistant saw it too and reached for the panic button. But they were faster. Mrs. Kang, the leader said in heavily accented English, you're coming with us. No, She backed toward the panic button Min-ho had insisted on installing in multiple locations. One of the men moved with frightening speed, grabbing her arm roughly. She screamed. Her assistant ran for help. But they were dragging her toward a van outside. Pedestrians stopped and stared but no one intervened. Seoul might be modern but people knew not to interfere with organized crime. Your husband took something from us. Now we take something from him. The leader's smile was cruel. Calculated. See how he likes losing what matters most. They bundled her into the van and terror overwhelmed rational thought. Not for herself, but for her daughter. She was 8 months pregnant. Any stress could trigger early labor. Any violence could harm the baby. The drive was a blur of fear and desperate planning. They took her to a warehouse on the outskirts of Seoul, one of the abandoned industrial areas that dotted the city's edges. Inside, it smelled of rust and mold and desperation. They tied her to a metal chair, as much as they could with her pregnant belly making it difficult. They made threats about what they'd do to her baby, if Min-ho didn't comply with their demands. She tried to stay calm, tried to breathe through the panic, but fear clawed at her throat. Her baby was kicking frantically, sensing her mother's distress. She focused on that, on the life inside her, on giving her daughter strength. Please, she begged, her voice steadier than she felt. I'm 8 months pregnant. Whatever my husband did, take it up with him. Leave me out of it. You're his weakness. We hurt you, we hurt him. Simple business. The leader's phone rang. He answered then smiled coldly. Your husband wants to talk to you. Make it good. Convince him to cooperate or things get very bad for you and that baby. He held the phone to her ear roughly. Min-ho's voice came through, barely controlled fury beneath desperate fear. Nia, are you hurt? Did they touch you? I'm okay. The baby's okay. She tried to keep her voice steady. Min-ho, don't give them what they want. I'm not worth. Don't you dare. His voice cracked, raw with emotion. Don't you dare tell me you're not worth everything. Don't tell me to choose anything over you and our daughter. I'm coming for you. I will burn this city to ash to find you. Hold on. Just hold on for me. They yanked the phone away. Nia heard Min-ho shouting her name. Heard the desperation in his voice before the call ended. Hours passed. Or maybe minutes. Time lost meaning in her terror. Her captors argued in Korean, and she caught enough words to understand they were debating whether to kill her now, use her to send a message, or wait for Min-ho to arrive and kill them both. She prayed to any god who might be listening. She prayed for her daughter's safety, for Min-ho to find them in time, for one more chance to tell him she loved him. Then gunfire erupted outside, shouting in Korean. More gunfire. So much it sounded like a war zone. The warehouse walls shook with the violence. The warehouse door exploded inward with a deafening crash. Through the smoke and chaos, Nia saw him. Min-ho moved like death incarnate, like every nightmare his enemies ever had come to life. His men flanked him in perfect formation, but he was at the front, taking the most risk. His eyes scanning desperately until they found her. When their gazes locked, she saw relief and fury and love so intense it took her breath away. He took down anyone between him and her with brutal efficiency. No wasted movements. No mercy. When he reached her, blood spattered his face and clothes. None of it his. His hands shook as he cut her bonds, checking her frantically for injuries. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? The baby? God, Nia, the baby. We're okay. Min-ho, we're okay. She collapsed against him and he lifted her into his arms despite the ongoing fight around them, shielding her body with his. His men provided cover as he carried her to an armored SUV waiting outside. Once inside, he ran his hands over her belly with desperate gentleness, feeling for their daughter. The baby kicked strongly against his palm and relief broke across his face. She's still moving. That's good, right? That means she's okay. I think so. But we should go to the hospital. Nia's voice shook despite her attempts to stay calm. I'm having contractions. Small ones, but... His face went white. You're in labor? I don't know. Maybe just stress. But we should check. She gripped his hand as another contraction hit. Min-ho, I'm scared. I've got you. Both of you. I promise. He barked orders to his driver, then pulled her close. His hands gentle on her belly. You're safe now. No one will ever touch you again. I'll make sure of it. At the hospital, doctors examined her thoroughly while Min-ho hovered, refusing to leave her side. The contractions were Braxton Hicks, brought on by extreme stress but not active labor. The baby was fine. Heart rate strong. Movements good. Nia was shaken but physically unharmed. You need rest, the doctor said firmly. No stress. No work. Just rest and prepare for the baby. You're very lucky. This could have ended much worse. When they were finally alone in her private hospital room, Min-ho broke. He dropped to his knees beside her bed, his head in her lap, his shoulders shaking with emotion he'd been holding back. I almost lost you. Both of you. Because of my world. My enemies. My choices. His voice was raw. Broken. Maybe you'd be safer without me. Maybe I should let you go. Give you the peaceful life you deserve. Don't. She ran her fingers through his hair, feeling him tremble. Don't you dare finish that sentence. I'm not leaving you. We're not leaving you. You should. For your safety. For hers. No. She made him look at her, seeing the fear and guilt in his eyes. We're stronger together. And you're leaving that world anyway, remember? Going legitimate. I chose you, Kang Min-ho. With all your baggage and danger and darkness. I chose you. And I'm not unchoosing you now. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. She smiled through tears. We're a team. You, me, and this little girl who's going to have both of us wrapped around her tiny finger. He kissed her belly with reverent gentleness. Then her, pouring months of fear and love into it. I'm going to marry you again. Proper wedding this time. And I'm going to spend every day for the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of you. You already did that. Now you just have to be here. Be present. Be ours. I can do that. He climbed onto the hospital bed beside her carefully, pulling her against his chest. I can definitely do that. The next morning, Nia woke to find Min-ho on the phone. His voice cold and absolute. All of them. I want every single person involved. Find them. Bring them to me. And make sure they understand what happens to people who touch my family. Min-ho. He ended the call, his expression softening when he saw her awake. How do you feel? Tired? Sore? But okay. She touched his face. What are you planning? Justice. Protection. Making sure this never happens again. His eyes hardened. They took you. Threatened our daughter. There are consequences for that. Don't do anything that will take you away from us. I need you here. Not in prison or dead. I'll be careful. But I won't let this go unpunished. He kissed her forehead. Trust me to handle this my way. She did. And that terrified her as much as it comforted her. A month later, Nia woke to wetness and cramping at 3 in the morning. Min-ho. Min-ho, wake up. I think my water just broke. He was out of bed instantly, throwing on clothes, grabbing the hospital bag he'd kept packed and ready for weeks. Okay. We practiced this. Breathing. We need to breathe. Or is that later? Should we time contractions first? You're panicking. I'm not panicking. He was absolutely panicking. His hands shaking as he helped her change clothes. You're in labor. Our daughter is coming. Oh God. I'm going to be a father. Despite the pain building in her abdomen, Nia laughed. Yes, you are. Now can we please go to the hospital before I have this baby in the car? The drive was a blur of contractions and Min-ho's increasingly frantic reassurances, directed more at himself than her. Once at the hospital, he transformed into focused determination, refusing to leave her side, holding her hand through every contraction, whispering encouragement in Korean and English. Labor was long and brutal. 18 hours of pain and exhaustion and questioning every decision that led to this moment. But every time Nia wanted to give up, Min-ho was there. His strength anchoring her. His love sustaining her. His voice reminding her she was strong enough. You can do this, he whispered during a particularly brutal contraction. You survived 7 months alone. You survived my mother's lies. You survived being kidnapped. You can survive this. You're the strongest person I know. When their daughter finally emerged at 9:43 in the morning, screaming indignantly at the bright lights and cold air, Min-ho wept openly. The nurses placed the baby on Nia's chest, and both parents stared in wonder at the tiny life they'd created. She's perfect, Min-ho breathed, his voice thick with emotion. Absolutely perfect. She has your eyes, Nia said, exhausted but elated, tracing her daughter's tiny features. Look at those eyes. She's going to be trouble. Their daughter, small, wrinkled, perfect, looked up at her parents with dark eyes that were definitely her father's. She had Nia's rich skin tone and Min-ho's delicate features. A perfect blend of both their heritages. A bridge between their worlds. What should we name her? Nia asked, cradling their daughter against her chest. Min-ho had researched extensively, as he did everything. Hana. It means one or flower in Korean. Grace for the middle name. For the grace that brought us back together. Hana Grace Kang, Nia repeated, looking down at their daughter. It's perfect. She's perfect. Min-ho sat on the edge of the bed, his arms around both his girls. His expression one of complete awe and overwhelming love. I can't believe she's real. That she's ours. That we made something this beautiful. Believe it. You're a father now. Nia smiled at him, seeing the wonder in his eyes. How does it feel? Terrifying. Amazing. Like my heart is walking around outside my body. He touched Hannah's tiny hand and she gripped his finger instinctively with surprising strength. I'm going to protect you both from everything. Promise you that. Nothing will ever hurt either of you again. The first weeks home were exhausting and beautiful and overwhelming. Min-ho threw himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he'd brought to everything else in his life. He woke for every feeding, learned to change diapers without complaint, paced the floors at 3 in the morning when Hannah cried, sang to her in Korean when she wouldn't settle. Nia watched him transform from Mafia boss to devoted father, marveling at how natural he was with their daughter. He was gentle and patient in ways she'd never imagined, his large hands careful with Hannah's tiny body, his voice soft as he told her stories and made promises about the world he'd build for her. "You're spoiling her already," Nia said one night, watching him rock Hannah at 3 in the morning while Nia should have been resting. "She's 6 weeks old. She needs to be spoiled. She needs to know she's loved and wanted and the center of our universe." He kissed the baby's head tenderly. "Besides, she has me completely wrapped around her finger. Just like her mother." "I don't have you wrapped around my finger." "Yes, you do. You have since the moment we met." He smiled at her over their daughter's head. "I was done for the second I saw you. And I've never recovered. Don't want to recover." The boutique was thriving even in Nia's absence. She'd hired excellent managers to handle day-to-day operations, and they video-called her with decisions and updates. She balanced new motherhood with her business dreams, proving she could be both mother and entrepreneur. Min-ho had made good on his promise. His operations were going legitimate. The violence had decreased dramatically as he transitioned to legal enterprises, real estate, technology, investments, international trade. He still had enemies, still needed security, but the daily danger was fading. Life was settling into something beautiful, something normal, or as normal as life could be for a former mafia boss and his wife. 3 months after Hannah's birth, Min-ho surprised Nia with a romantic dinner at home. Candles everywhere. Her favorite food prepared by a private chef. Soft music playing. Their daughter slept peacefully in a bassinet nearby, watched by security. Min-ho no longer pretended they didn't need. "What's this about?" Nia asked, beautiful in a dress he'd bought her, her post-pregnancy curves driving him crazy with desire and love. "This is about us. About our family. About celebrating everything we survived to get here." He took her hand across the table, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "We never had a proper courtship. I never got to date you. Will you? Show you romance. Show you how much you mean to me. You married me. Got me pregnant. Fought your whole family for me. Literally went to war to save me." She smiled. "I think I know how much I mean to you. Still, I want to do this right." He stood, pulling a box from his pocket. Inside was a new ring. Not replacing the ones he'd given her before, but complementing them. A stunning diamond surrounded by emeralds that matched her eyes. "Nia Thompson Kang. Love of my life. Mother of my child. Salvation of my soul. Will you stay married to me? Will you keep choosing me even knowing all my flaws and darkness? Will you build this life with me? Raise our daughter together? Maybe give her siblings someday?" Tears streamed down her face. "That's not a traditional proposal. We're not a traditional couple. We never have been." He slipped the ring onto her finger, adding to the collection of promises already there. "But I love you more than I thought possible to love anyone. More than I knew how to love until you taught me. Say yes. Say you'll keep me." "Yes. Of course yes. Always yes." She pulled him into a kiss that tasted like promise and forever, and everything they'd survived. "I'll always choose you. In every lifetime I choose you." Behind them, Hannah made a small sound in her sleep, as if blessing their union. And they both laughed through their tears. A year later, they renewed their vows in a proper ceremony. Not the forced marriage orchestrated by his mother's lies and manipulation, but a real wedding with real love and real commitment. They invited everyone who mattered. Friends who'd supported them. Business partners who'd become friends. Notably absent, Min-ho's mother. She tried to reconcile, to apologize, but Min-ho had been firm. Forgiveness would take time if it came at all. Nia wore a dress she designed herself. Elegant white lace that showcased her curves with traditional Nigerian patterns, embroidered in gold thread. A fusion of both her worlds. Min-ho wore a traditional Korean hanbok in deep blue, looking regal and impossibly handsome. Every inch the powerful man he was, with softness reserved only for his family. Hannah, now 1 year old, toddled between them during the ceremony in a matching hanbok, making everyone laugh when she tried to grab the rings and babbled loudly during the vows. The officiant smiled indulgently while Min-ho scooped up his daughter, holding her while he spoke his vows. "I was lost before you," he said, his voice thick with emotion, speaking to Nia while their daughter played with his collar. "Empty. Violent. Going through life without really living. You saw something in me worth saving. You gave me a reason to be better. To build something beyond destruction. I promise to spend every day of my life proving I'm worthy of your love. I promise to protect you, cherish you, choose you above everything else. You are my home, Nia. My peace. My everything." Nia's vows were equally emotional, her voice breaking as she spoke. "I was sold a lie. Abandoned. Treated like I was worthless. You showed me I'm priceless. You gave me freedom within safety. Love without conditions. Strength when I had none left. I choose you, Min-ho. Not because I'm forced to, but because you're the best decision I've ever made. I promise to love you through every storm. To stand by you. To build a life with you that honors both our pasts and embraces our future." When they kissed, it tasted like new beginnings. Like everything they'd overcome to reach this moment. Hannah clapped her chubby hands between them and the entire room erupted in laughter and applause. The reception was intimate and joyful. Close friends. Trusted associates. Nia's mother, who'd flown in from Nigeria and wept through the entire ceremony. Laughter and music and joy filled the space. So different from the violence and fear that had marked their beginning. "Happy," Min-ho murmured, dancing with her while his mother held a sleepy Hannah. "Impossibly happy." She touched his face, marveling at how much had changed. "You gave me everything I didn't know I needed. You gave me a reason to live instead of just survive." He kissed her softly. "You are my redemption, Nia. My salvation. My home. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt it." 2 years after their reconciliation, Nia's boutique had expanded to 3 locations across Seoul. She'd become a respected name in Korean fashion, known for inclusive designs and ethical practices. Her success was her own, built on talent and vision, though Min-ho's support had certainly helped. Hannah was a thriving toddler, speaking both Korean and English fluently, absolutely adored by her father, who spoiled her shamelessly despite Nia's protests. She had Min-ho's determination and Nia's creativity, already showing signs of the strong woman she'd become. Min-ho had successfully transitioned his empire to completely legitimate business. The transformation had taken longer than expected, but he'd done it. Real estate development, technology investments, import-export companies, all legal, all successful, all clean. The violence of his past had faded into memory, replaced by boardrooms and business deals. But the protective intensity never faded. He still had security follow Nia and Hannah everywhere. Still made sure they wanted for nothing. Still looked at his wife like she was the only woman in existence. One evening, after putting Hannah to bed, they sat on their balcony overlooking Seoul. The city glittered beneath them, full of possibility and promise. Nia leaned against his shoulder, content in a way she'd never imagined possible. "I've been thinking," she said carefully. "Dangerous." But he smiled, pulling her closer. "Hannah needs a sibling. She's getting lonely. And I think." She turned to watch his face. "I'm pregnant. 10 weeks. He went very still, then pulled her onto his lap with careful excitement. "When did you find out?" "Last week. I wanted to be sure before I told you. Wanted to wait until we were alone." She watched his face transform. "Are you happy?" "Happy doesn't begin to cover it." His hand found her still flat belly with reverent wonder. Another baby. Another chance to do everything right from the beginning. To be there for every moment. His eyes grew suspiciously bright. "You've given me everything, Nia. Absolutely everything. You gave me just as much. You saved me when I thought I was worthless. You loved me when I thought I was unlovable. You built me a life I didn't dare dream of. We built it together." He kissed her softly, tasting like promise and forever. "And we'll keep building. Our family. Our future. Our forever. However many children you'll give me. Whatever dreams you want to chase. Wherever life takes us. We'll do it together. 9 months later, Nia gave birth to their son at sunrise. The labor was easier this time. Faster. And Min-ho was calmer, though no less emotional when their son emerged screaming healthily. A boy, the doctor announced with a smile. Healthy and strong. Good lungs on this one. Min-ho stared at his son with the same wonder he'd shown with Hannah. Tears streaming down his face unashamedly. The baby had Nia's eyes and fuller features. Min-ho's bone structure. Another perfect blend of their love. They named him Daniel Min-jae Kang. Daniel for God is my judge. Min-jae meaning brightness and talent in Korean. A name that honored both their cultures. Both their worlds. When they brought him home, 3-year-old Hannah was fascinated and slightly jealous of her baby brother. She touched him with exaggerated gentleness, copying her father's carefulness, already protective despite her initial skepticism. Baby, she said in Korean then English, poking his tiny hand carefully. My baby brother. Our baby, Min-ho corrected gently, sitting on the floor with both children. You're the big sister now. That's an important job. You have to help protect him. Teach him things. Show him how to be strong like you. Hannah nodded seriously, her face scrunched in concentration, already taking her role seriously. I protect baby. Like you protect mommy. Min-ho's eyes met Nia's over their children's heads. And the love there took her breath away even after all this time. That night, with both children finally asleep, they collapsed into bed. Exhausted but content. 2 kids, Nia murmured. We have 2 kids. When did we become responsible adults? I'm not sure we did. We're just really good at pretending. He pulled her close, mindful of her still healing body. But seriously, thank you. For our family. For giving me a life worth living. Thank you for finding me again. For not giving up. For loving me enough to fight for us. They held each other in the darkness. 2 people who'd been broken and forced apart. Who'd built something beautiful from the ashes of manipulation and lies. Don't subscribe if you don't believe in second chances or love that fights through hell and back. But if you do, you know what to do. More stories like this are coming. Let's keep growing this family together. 5 years after Min-ho walked into that restaurant and found his pregnant ex-wife serving tables, they celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary. Counting from their original forced ceremony because, as Min-ho said, every moment counted. Even the painful ones. Their penthouse was full of controlled chaos and constant joy. Hannah, now 8, was already taking design classes after school, following in her mother's footsteps. Daniel, now 5, was quiet and observant, already showing signs of his father's strategic mind. And their youngest 3-year-old Sophia was pure energy and determination, keeping everyone on their toes. 3 kids, Nia said, watching Min-ho referee a pillow fight while trying to answer work emails. We have 3 kids. How did that happen? You're very beautiful and I have no self-control around you, he called back, ducking a flying pillow. Also, we're apparently very fertile as a couple. She laughed, the sound filling their home with warmth. The boutique had expanded internationally. Locations in New York, London, and Lagos. Min-ho's business empire was thriving and completely legitimate. They'd built something remarkable together. Do you ever regret it? Min-ho asked later that night, after the children were finally asleep. If you could go back and avoid all the pain, the forced marriage, the lies, the separation, the fear, would you? Nia considered it seriously. The manipulation by his mother. The divorce based on lies. The 7 months alone and pregnant, working herself to exhaustion. The kidnapping that still sometimes haunted her dreams. All the struggle and pain and fear. No, she said finally. Definitely. Because all of it led here. To us. To our family. To this life. I'd walk through fire to get to this moment. So would I. He pulled her closer on their balcony, overlooking the city that had witnessed their entire story. You're my miracle, Nia. The impossible thing that saved me from becoming a monster completely. And you're mine. My dangerous man who turned out to be my fairy tale. She kissed him as Seoul sparkled beyond their windows. My forever. They stood together as the city lights twinkled below. 2 people who'd been broken and forced together by lies. Who'd found a love that conquered everything thrown at them. From enemies to strangers to lovers to enemies again to soulmates. Their journey had been anything but simple. But it had been theirs. And it had been worth every painful step. 10 years later, Min-ho and Nia stood in their boutique's flagship store. Now a fashion empire spanning multiple countries. Photos lined the walls of their journey. Nia pregnant in her server uniform. Their vow renewal. Their children's births. Family moments captured throughout the years. Tonight was special. An anniversary celebration and boutique expansion announcement. Their 3 children played nearby under the watchful eyes of security that would always be necessary given their father's past. Can you believe it's been 10 years? Nia asked, staring at that first photo. The one Min-ho's security had taken of her in the restaurant uniform the night everything changed. Best 10 years of my life. Even counting the terrible beginning. Min-ho wrapped his arms around her waist from behind. His chin on her shoulder. You made me a better man. Made me want to be better. You made me believe I deserved better. That I was worth fighting for. She turned in his arms, seeing the love that had only deepened with time. We saved each other. We did. He kissed her softly. And we'll keep saving each other. Every day. That's what family does. Their children burst into the boutique then. Hannah elegant at 13. Daniel thoughtful at 10. Sophia energetic at 8. Full of life and demands for dinner. Min-ho scooped up Sophia while Nia corralled the older 2. And they headed out into Seoul's night. As a family, they were no longer the people someone had manipulated into separation. They were no longer the desperate souls searching for each other in the darkness. They were whole. They were healed. They were home. And it had all started in a restaurant. With a pregnant ex-wife serving tables. And a mafia boss who'd never stopped loving her. Their story had begun with pain and manipulation and forced separation. But it ended with forever. If you made it this far, you're part of this journey now. Like this video. Subscribe for more stories that'll hit you right in the heart. Comment below and tell me. Did Nia and Min-ho's story wreck you? What was the moment that got you most? Share this with someone who needs to believe in love that fights back. Because that's what we do here. We tell stories that remind us love is worth the battle. See you in the next one.